Warping the loom means adding the yarn that will eventually become the stump and then the places to weave the branches of our tree. Your loom may end up looking like this with just one trunk and being able to weave. Or maybe you want your weaving to look like this with one main trunk and then some smaller branches coming off of that main trunk. I will show you both ways to do this. Pretend that my loom is already painted and that we've already taken our string and wrapped it 6 or 7 times around our hand. I've turned my plate over. You need one piece of tape and we're going to tape it to the back of our loom. Now I'm going to put that yarn in one of the notches. And I'm actually going to move it over because I want it to the notch on the left. When I'm looking at my plate, I want it on the left. So now I'm going to take that string and I'm going to take it up to the first notch on the left. And then it's going to get kind of wrapped around the back and come up through that second notch. Down to that notch on the left again. And then next door to the one on the right. Now here's a pattern. Up to the next notch. Right next door, so that means it goes behind and through. Down to the notch on the left. And next door to the one on the right. So up, next door, down to the left, over to the right. We're going to keep going with this pattern until we get all the way to the end of all of these notches. Remember, we can always pause this video if it gets too far ahead of you or if you get confused. Remember, always to the left first, then to the right. Now we're into the last notch up top. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it back over. And this one is going to come back around to where we started. See how it's following that same place where we started? And I end up down here back at the bottom. Show you that again. So the down last notch, go back down to the bottom. It doesn't matter whether it's in the right or the left because we're going to now. Okay, now that we're down here at the bottom, we have our little strand. I made it into a ball. I'm going to pass it underneath all of the warp strings. Oh, I didn't like how there was a little strand that was showing down below, so I moved it over. So now I can just wrap around underneath all of those warp strings and just keep going around and around to pull. Don't pull too tightly. I'm trying to show you here that the strands should be laying next to each other, not on top of each other, because we want it to keep moving up the tree, not to just get a big clump of string there. So make sure that the strands are laying next to each other, not on top, so that we start building a trunk. Okay, so I'm going to keep going a little ways so that I have something that looks like a tree. When you're finished weaving the trunk the regular way, we're just going to take the end of that string and wrap it around one of the warp strings on the side and tie a knot. So actually I'm going to tie a double knot, one knot there, and then loop it around, and another knot. So if you just have a regular trunk, you're just going to tie it to the end warp string, and then you can get a pair of scissors and cut off that extra piece. If you are planning on adding the branches, you make a trunk like everyone else. And then now, let's say I want to do these 3 warp strands. I'm just going to wrap around the 3. So I'm just going to wrap up a little ways, not too far or else you won't have any space to weave. And then once I've wrapped up a ways, now I have to wrap back down towards the main trunk. So I'm just going to start making the string go back down the way I came to get back to the trunk so that now I can move to a different set. So let's say I'm going to do these next 4. Now I'm down at the bottom again and I can wrap up. So up a ways, not too far. And once I wrap up, I have to wrap down. See what would happen if I didn't? It would just go straight across and leave a weird string. So I have to wrap back down. Then once I'm down, I can wrap back up. And you'll finish this off just like you did with the other one. Tie it to the end of the warp string in a double knot and cut off the extra.